The national average says UK house prices are up 1.3%, but that number is hiding a disaster happening right now in specific cities. These 10 cities are experiencing annual price drops of up to 15%, while locals watch their equity disappear in real time. Real data from Land Registry, Zoopla, and Hampton's research, not forecasts, not warnings. This is already happening. We start the countdown at number 10 on the English coast. In the 10th place, Hastings stands as the first warning sign on the English coast. After a pandemic surge driven by remote workers seeking seaside escapes, house prices here are now falling faster than anywhere else in southern England. The latest Land Registry figures show a 4.4% drop year on year, wiping out nearly £28,000 in average equity for sellers. With 12% of homes now selling below their original purchase price, loss-making sales have become a new reality. Transaction volumes have slumped by 8%, and the median price sits at £215,000, well below the national average. As temporary buyers retreat and local affordability fails to keep up, the brief boom has given way to a sharp correction. Hastings reveals just how fragile a market can be when demand is built on shifting sands. Number 9. Eastbourne faces a sharp reverse after years as a magnet for retirees and second-home buyers. The latest Land Registry figures for BN20 to BN22 reveal a 5.2% annual drop in house prices, pushing the median down to £230,000. Sales have plummeted by 15%, with transaction volumes shrinking by 12% in just 1 year. Unlike pandemic hotspots driven by remote workers, Eastbourne's market relied on an aging buyer base, now evaporating as retirees delay moves and holiday home demand collapses. The sudden glut of unsold properties signals how quickly a local housing market can unravel when its core demographic steps back. 8th place, Merthyr Tydfil faces a housing downturn shaped by decades of economic hardship. The latest Land Registry data shows a 6.3% annual drop in home prices, pulling the median value down to just £115,000. Sales have plummeted by 22%, with transaction volumes falling 18% in a single year. Chronic unemployment and limited job creation leave fewer buyers able to enter the market, amplifying the impact of rising mortgage costs. Unlike coastal towns driven by pandemic booms, Merthyr's decline reflects deep-rooted structural weakness, where each price fall erodes what little equity many homeowners have left. Number 7. Aberdeen faces a reckoning as the oil era winds down. The city's housing market, once buoyed by North Sea energy jobs, now shows a 6.2% drop in average prices over the past year, according to Land Registry data. The median home sells for £180,000, but 20% fewer properties are changing hands compared to last year, and sales volumes have fallen by 15%. With the push toward net zero emissions and the decommissioning of oil platforms, thousands of skilled jobs have disappeared, shrinking the pool of buyers able to afford local homes. Reports from Hamptons and Scottish oil sector analysts point to a sharp rise in negative equity, with more than half of Aberdeen's homes now worth less than their previous sale price. The city's downturn highlights the risk when a local economy depends on a single sector. Once the engine stalls, the housing market can slide fast and hard. Number 6. Nottingham is facing a crisis that goes beyond weak demand or economic decline. In late 2023, the City Council issued a Section 114 notice, effectively declaring bankruptcy after years of financial mismanagement. The shockwaves from this fiscal collapse have rattled confidence in the city's housing market. Land registry data for E06000015 shows a 7% year-on-year drop in home prices, pulling the median down to £210,000. Transaction volumes have fallen by 20%, with 18% fewer completed sales than last year. Sellers now face a shrinking pool of buyers, many of whom are spooked by the prospect of rising council taxes, cuts to local services, and uncertainty over future investment. Unlike coastal or industrial downturns, Nottingham's freefall is a stark reminder that local government instability can trigger a housing crash even in a city with otherwise stable fundamentals. Number 5. Hammersmith and Fulham marks the point where London's luxury housing market starts to unravel. The borough has suffered an 11.3% annual drop in home prices, the first double-digit fall in this countdown. Median values now stand at £1.15 million, but a quarter of all sales are loss-making, meaning sellers are accepting less than they paid, often wiping out over £150,000 in equity per property. Transactions have fallen by 22% in just 1 year. The sudden reversal is tied to sweeping changes in UK tax law. The overhaul of the non-dom regime has driven out the elite overseas buyers who once propped up this market. Without that global demand, even prime postcodes can't escape a swift correction. Hammersmith and Fulham's sharp decline signals how sensitive high-end markets are to both policy shifts and the loss of wealthy international buyers. Number 4. Tower Hamlets stands at the heart of London's high-rise crisis. Over the past year, house prices in the borough have dropped by 13%, pulling the median value down to £720,000. Nearly a third of all recent sales, 28%, have been loss-making, the highest rate yet in this countdown. The landscape is dominated by luxury towers, many built for overseas investors who are now retreating in the face of higher taxes, mortgage costs, and shifting global capital flows. As these owners exit, vacancy rates in new-build flats have surged, leaving entire floors empty even as local families face overcrowding. Transaction volumes are down by a quarter, with fewer buyers willing or able to absorb the oversupply. In Tower Hamlets, the promise of endless demand for luxury property has evaporated, exposing the market to a scale of losses that signals deeper trouble ahead for the capital. Coming to the top 3, Kensington and Chelsea reveals the scale of the crisis at the very top of the UK property market. Once a byword for global wealth and trophy homes, this borough has suffered a 15% drop in average house prices over the past year, according to land registry data. The median sale now stands at £3.2 million, erasing nearly £500,000 in equity from the typical property. More than 30% of recent sales have been loss-making, as sellers accept prices below their original purchase. Transaction volumes have collapsed by 27%, the sharpest decline among London's luxury postcodes. The exodus of overseas buyers, driven by a stamp duty surcharge, non-dom tax reforms, and international sanctions, has left a vacuum that local demand cannot fill. Even the ultra-wealthy are not immune. The area's prestige has not protected it from the fastest and deepest falls outside the city. Kensington and Chelsea stands as proof that no postcode is safe when the pillars of demand are pulled away. Number 2. Westminster is witnessing a rapid unravelling at the core of Britain's political and professional establishment. Over the past year, property prices here have dropped by 14.5%, according to land registry data for E09000019. The median sale now stands at £2.9 million, but that headline figure masks an even deeper crisis. Nearly 29% of all transactions are loss-making, with sellers accepting prices below their original purchase. For many, that means an average equity hit of over £420,000 per property. Transaction volumes are down by 26%, signalling a market where both buyers and sellers are pulling back. The exodus of high-earning professionals, accelerated by the permanent shift to remote work, has left a vacuum that local demand cannot fill. ONS migration statistics and HMRC investment data point to a steady outflow of finance, legal, and tech workers who once anchored this market but are now choosing to live and spend elsewhere. As the professional class migrates out and mortgage costs remain elevated, Westminster's housing market is no longer insulated by its prestige or proximity to power. The speed and scale of these losses, nearly matching the most severe declines in the country, reveal that even the capital's heart is not immune to a fundamental shift in demand. And finally, in first place, the City of London stands as the epicenter of the UK's housing market collapse. The latest land registry data for E09/01 reveals a year-on-year price drop of 15.5%, the steepest fall recorded anywhere in the country. Median property values have plunged to £1.75 million, erasing an average of £560,000 in equity for recent sellers. Nearly a third of all transactions, 32%, are now loss-making as owners accept prices below their original purchase, while total sales volumes have collapsed by 30% in just 12 months. The forces driving this implosion are structural. The exodus of bankers and finance professionals, accelerated by Brexit and the permanent shift to remote work, has gutted the buyer pool that once sustained these high-value homes. At the same time, a surge in mortgage rates has made borrowing at this level unaffordable for most, breaking the chain of demand. Overseas investors, once a pillar of the market, have retreated in the face of tax reforms and international sanctions, leaving a vacuum that local buyers cannot fill. The city's rapid descent exposes the vulnerability of even the country's economic core, showing how quickly a market built on elite demand can unravel when its foundations are pulled away. This is not a forecast, it is the new reality for Britain's financial heart. Across all 10 markets, one fact is clear: local housing crashes can unfold rapidly when demand dries up and confidence breaks. These aren't forecasts, they're real, measured losses. The gap between national averages and local realities has never been wider. In property, pain is always specific and already happening.